Hello, everyone. Yes, you guessed it right. We are again shooting another episode of Deeptown Diverse VR show, and today I have with me an absolutely cool guy whose name is, we just figured out, Udi Wertheimer, and I pronounced it correctly. So
Yes.
welcome everyone to the show, and it will be an epic discussion, so stay tuned. So welcome everyone. Welcome Udi. Thank you for coming to the show. It's a pleasure to have you. Amazing show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, my biggest pleasure. And let's dive directly into it. I was
Go.
thinking how to introduce you, and I can
It's a
of
good
course read
question.
your bio from Twitter, and he says basically that he's a troll. So we can do that, or we can say that you are kind of like a blockchain. Or now I insult you, blockchain enthusiast. No, so
Blockchain skeptic.
you're a blockchain skeptic. You're a blockchain guy, a blockchain skeptic. You do a lot of cool tweets, and I love your tweets, man. Makes my
Thank
day
you.
many times of the week. It just makes my mood better, and that's amazing. So how would you introduce yourself? Who are you?
So I'm a software developer by trade, I guess, and probably for 3 to 4 years, I'm doing mostly like freelance blockchain related stuff. And usually, I'm so frustrated about what I do that I have to take it out on Twitter. That's what's going on. Instead of taking it out on my clients, I take it out on just crypto Twitter. I think that's
All right,
generally better.
that's okay.
So that's one thing. I also do some VR stuff, which is why I love this place.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have RecklessVR, which is a weekly like meetup event style thing that we do with like talks about Bitcoin. There are a lot of technical like development style talks. It's obviously became more popular now that with the whole COVID thing.
Mhm.
That's pretty much the only way you can actually go and instead of watching a presentation on YouTube, you get to be there with your friends, which is amazing. So yeah, we do that. It's a weekly thing. We also, spice it up with some interviews sometimes, some shows. But yeah, it's all nerdy Bitcoins. Nerdy Bitcoiners who are also into VR. That's a good combination.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, that the Reckless VR, I've seen some. I mean, you said something about Bitcoin. You have to explain what is that, but we'll come to that later.
Like
but
what that Bitcoin thing is.
what Bitcoin exactly? What's the Bitcoin?
It's more about Tron, maybe.
All right. Okay, now we're getting closer to the substance of things. But
Yes.
so how did you actually get to the blockchain? Like, what was your journey? And when did it happen?
You mean to Bitcoin? Well, I guess it was. I guess it was. Well, it was long enough ago. It's definitely been a few years now. I don't know. I don't want to. People say numbers. They say a year, and then later they say another year, and then later they say another year. Then everyone makes fun of them. I don't want to be that guy. And I don't remember exactly which year it was.
Okay.
But it was probably around 2014, 15, something like that. Whatever, make up a number. And yeah, but I wasn't impressed. I thought it was a scam.
All right.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
That's what that's what you think. No, but I was impressed by the technology behind it. So like a blockchain person would, not necessarily by anything else. So I studied a lot about how things work, and eventually I felt safe enough to also consider maybe Bitcoin as an actual financial asset that might be worth something. Took me a while.
All right.
But yeah, I was fascinated by the technology. I years at least. I'm much more interested in the financial of things than the tech. Actually, I think that the reason that I used to be excited about Bitcoin because I just liked decentralized things and it seemed
Mm-hmm.
amazing that you can do Bitcoin. But eventually, my excitement for decentralized things was, I don't know, subdued a little bit, and I just became more interested in how the financial side of it works. And I thought that Bitcoin is a good fit for something you could do with a blockchain, or anything, I guess, financial. I'm not sure about the other things, but hey, I've been wrong before, like at least twice. So
You're generous. Only twice. Okay, if I'd be wrong in my life only twice, I think I'd be a
at
billionaire
least,
already. At least. Okay, that's good.
at
That's good. At
least,
least twice.
I
so,
Times.
so what? How would
Well,
you?
depends.
Oh, now
Yeah.
you're now you're actually the microphone sounds pretty silly, but it's he entering the matrix.
it's just
He's transitioning to
exactly
the
it's just my
matrix
voice.
already. It's just his voice. It's like AI tries to escape his body, the virtual body, and it cannot escape
I
so far.
transition into being a Pokemon sometimes. Is that what it sounds like?
Yes. So
I
all
can
right.
say
So
like only my name. Yeah.
you came into this blockchain. You were fascinating by the financial part and the technological part. Um, what how did you end up like doing what you do on Twitter mainly? Because that's at least how I got to know you in
Yeah.
terms of following you on Twitter and having some cool nice battles or discussions with some other Twitter blockchain influencers, let's say. Did it become natural to you, or you just say like that's I feel like that's kind of something I want to do, and it's great, and I'll pursue that, or you just do it for fun?
It's probably a little bit of both. I think it started just because I was, I was enjoying being able to talk to people about this.
Hmm.
That's probably how it started. Um, but over time, sure, it became, became beneficial in a way too. It's good if if you try to work in the space. It's good to have people who know you already. That's very useful.
Hmm.
Um, so it's a bit of both. It's also beneficial, but I think people might be surprised. It's not as much effort and work as some people might think. It does mean you have to be consistent, though. The consistency thing is like
In terms
if
of you have
for
to do it
two
all the time,
days,
right? Yeah, every
yeah,
yeah.
if for 2 days you don't tweet, then Twitter is gonna punish you. So you have to be consistent.
Okay, okay, good. That's good. So, all right. So we have behind us a very famous crypto art because I said so. Um, and I'll open the art, which costed me whooping 0.33 Ethereum. And the art basically explains like the Ethereum trying to catch Bitcoin, Bitcoin trying to catch Ethereum. Now let's get into meaty stuff. So you are okay, Bitcoin or Ethereum? What are you? Are you biggest fan of Bitcoin, or are you a bigger fan of Ethereum, and why?
Well, I think I'm not known to be a big Ethereum fan, but to be honest with you, I don't think that Bitcoin and Ethereum are competing really.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have much in common at all. Um, I would say that Ethereum is a blockchain platform that has a token that is Ether, while Bitcoin is a digital asset that happens to use a blockchain. So if you look at them from distance, it seems like it's the same thing. There's a token in a blockchain. But if you actually get into what they are and what they're used for and what like the details, then you figure out that with Bitcoin, people care about the digital asset and its economic properties. And you happen to implement it with a blockchain because you didn't find a better way to do it. But in Ethereum, people want the blockchain. They believe that they can build, applications using it, and they believe that it's useful for itself. and they need the token to make it work. Maybe, maybe if Ethereum could work without Ether, maybe that would happen, but you need Ether to make Ethereum work. So I think they're very different in that way.
Okay,
The
but
people who use Ethers, they have different priorities.
absolutely. But when when you say people, like, let's get into something like why people care about Bitcoin and what it represents, because honestly, I have to reference to the famous, or I've got sent this, I've sent it to you as well before the show, this cool meme or the picture where like there's two meetups represented, and like on the upper side there's a meetup of Ethereum, or Ethereum meetup, where people discuss like DeFi and NFTs and all this applications they build, and they kind of talk to each other about that. And then the lower part is like a Bitcoin meetup, and everybody says basically, I own Bitcoin. Oh, I also own Bitcoin. I also own Bitcoin. So to me, this is kind of like, I'm a very utilitarian guy. So for me, utility, I value things if they bring utility. All right. And when I don't see too much utility, it kind of scares me a little bit about the future of certain things, right? So
What's the
why?
utility of the dollar? What's the utility of the US dollar?
It's a payment system. It's a payment, pretty creepy one, as actually, but it's a payment system, right? But it's exchange of value. Now the thing about Bitcoin, like, what is?
It's a store value, not just an exchange value.
It's a store value, and it's an exchange value. But what is the Bitcoin? Just a digital copy of dollars or gold or whatever? What is Bitcoin for you? How would you describe Bitcoin for yourself?
Well, I would say that Bitcoin is a better copy of the US dollar. Yes, it's better in that. Well, it depends. Better for who, right? If you happen to be the Federal Reserve, then maybe you think that the US dollar is great.
Yes.
But for most people who just don't have that much control, then they might prefer Bitcoin because it doesn't give them control, but it doesn't give anyone else control either. So Bitcoin is just more neutral.
Okay.
Yep. I would say that it's a neutral version of the US dollar. It's neutral in two ways. One, no one can stop you from using it. Well, depends on it depends on how in the movie The Matrix, there's this person who tells Neo that there are levels of survival that we are willing to accept. So it depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice. But if you're willing to sacrifice and go through some privacy stuff that you have to take care of and so on, then you're probably going to be able to use Bitcoin without anyone stopping you, if you'll work hard enough for it. It's possible. Yeah. So that's one thing. You can do it without anyone stopping you. And the other thing is you don't have to trust anyone to inflate the supply or to change things under your feet or whatever. You just know the rules, and the rules are not going to change. Maybe you don't like the rules, by the way. I think a lot of people just aren't huge fans of the rules of the Bitcoin network or the Bitcoin asset, which is fair. But some people value just the stability of it. So, you can say, I don't think that those are the best rules that could be thought up, but at least I know they're not going to change. At least I know that's what it's going to be. So I think that's valuable.
Okay. All right. So, and what, let's directly cover the thing, like what Ethereum represents to you. Like, how do you said you're not a big fan of Ethereum, and I mean, right now I'm being nice saying that. Like, if you read his tweets, okay?
Oh yeah.
He's like you can sedate yourself like Ethereum users are stupid or whatever. So why do you think so? What is Ethereum for you? Like, how do you look at Ethereum? And be careful. So we're in Ethereum-based world.
Let's
right?
be. Oh well, we're in VR.
We can beat you in VR.
You can beat me, but I won't feel it. So I don't know.
It's not the best. We need
threat.
Tesla suit. I'll send you the Tesla suit, and then I'll beat you in VR.
Let's both wear a Tesla suit, and let's see who wins.
All right,
let's
true.
Do that.
Good. It's on.
So I mean, I have to. This is a scoop right now, an exclusive scoop I'm giving you. I used to be pro Ethereum. I used to like it. I used to own some.
Mm-hmm. He
I
owns it. I
do.
know
I
it. I know it.
mean,
He owns some still. You can't say that.
I'm I'm not gonna say anything like that. I used to, for sure.
All right.
I think that so you can't, people think, people look at my tweets or whatever and they say, well, he's just a maximalist.
Mm-hmm.
He can't think of anything else but Bitcoin. That's just not true, though.
Okay.
I mean, I definitely used to be bullish on Ethereum, and I'm just not right now. And there are many reasons for that.
Three main reasons, or two main, whatever. How many?
I think the main thing is, I think that my main belief is that anything so far that I've seen people build on Ethereum, you could build without Ethereum. I'm not saying on Bitcoin. This is not. I don't even know what it would mean to build on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is an asset. Like when someone says I'm going to build on Bitcoin, it makes as much sense to me as someone saying I'm going to build on the US dollar. What does it even mean? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You put a pile of dollar and then you build something.
Yeah. So I'm not saying you could build the same on Bitcoin. That's A, not true, B, not exactly a sentence. I'm saying you could build it without Ethereum. So if you could build, and the thing is, if you're gonna build with Ethereum, you're gonna pay, you're gonna pay fees, you're gonna pay with your time, you're going to pay a lot for developers, because Ethereum developers are more expensive than, database managers, whatever. You're gonna pay a lot. So just why are you going to do it? What's the benefit that you're going to get from building on Ethereum?
I'll tell you about that. Yes.
I know, but I would say, you could. I would say that there's a lot of vision on how you could use Ethereum to build applications that are neutral or not controlled by anyone. But in practice, this hardly ever happens. Maybe never, but at least I can safely say that it hardly ever happens that an application is actually not controlled by anyone. I can give you some, for example, for Somnium Space, obviously, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but obviously, you as Somnium, the company, you could decide, okay, you know what, we're gonna expand the world, we're gonna make more land. I hope you do that, by the way. I hope it succeeds and you create more land and sell more. That I think it's a good thing. But it means you're in control, right? You can do it, someone else cannot do it. I think that's great. Like I see, a lot of popular games, a lot of popular VR worlds, they succeed because there's a good, successful developer behind them in a team that is strong and is building things that customers want. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's great. All I'm saying is, if you have that, then why pay all of the overhead with Ethereum? If people are accepting the fact that you're going to trust someone, then why pay the overhead? The overhead is expensive. It's not,
I can tell exactly why.
Yes.
I can tell. So I agree with you. Bitcoin, in my opinion, except of the store value, I don't see any utility there in terms of like real utility of building something on Bitcoin or stuff like that. But coming back to Ethereum now, an example of you said scarcity. We have limited amount of land, and by the way, people think that's why land has certain value. That's not true. It is part of the equation, but it's not the biggest part, because the main part is I can build this stuff within 10 minutes, upload and enjoy it with everyone else. That's the utility why people pay for it.
Sure.
They pay for space to be building on and actually using it as for business. Like Jambi, for example, he's a great singer, and he built his own stage, and he has his own parcel with his stage and stuff, and he's actually going to have concerts here, and we cannot wait. I mean, we got a sneak preview yesterday. It's amazing, and you should come to one of the concerts. So this is the utility. This is number one. Now, number two, when you say people trust Somnium, and yes, we are kind of a central entity which is in control of the vision building of Somnium. Correct, and that's good, and I find it absolutely good, because we believe that there's many people like decentralization maximalists. They say, decentralize everything. Yeah. If it's not decentralized, it's crap. Blah blah blah. They're wrong. They're wrong. You're crap, guys, because you don't understand the whole thing. You have to come to a certain point where you can decentralize certain things. Unless you come there, you cannot do it. Now, why wouldn't we expand
Yeah,
land
you guys
without?
create value.
Yes,
That's
but
what you do.
why wouldn't we expand land uncontrollably, let's say, if we decide so? Because it will be counterproductive for the company. It's a very easy economical leverage. If we start
Yeah.
doing so, we'll immediately piss off. First of all, there's technical reasons why we cannot do it unlimited. It's just the way how our world is working in
Yeah.
terms of persistence. It's very hard to do so. So we have to, there has to be a lot of work done to actually try to expand stuff. But um, in terms of like economical stuff, it just doesn't make sense because if we do that, we'll piss off everyone. First of all, we'll destabilize the whole marketplace and the whole secondary market and everything which we've built for years. So we'll be hurting ourselves more than we will actually be hurting the users, and that just creates the counterproductive narrative, which we will never do because it doesn't make sense to the company. Like unless I go crazy or someone goes crazy, then of course everything goes
Right.
bunkers. But still, people own
Well, I
tokens.
agree with you.
And
I agree
the,
with you, and I'll tell you more that I'll tell you even more that I trust you guys. I mean, you're a great guy, so I trust you. I think that I think that you're motivated to make the most of this world. You've obviously, you've built amazing things, and it seems like the development pace is very fast. It's amazing. So I trust you fully. I don't think I know that you will do what's best for Somnium. So I'm fine with that. I think that's great. The only thing that I'm saying
why
is
Ethereum? Why would I use Ethereum?
if I trust you, and I do, but if I trust you, then why Ethereum? I can
because
use
because
just a
it
database.
because it brings another huge aspect which I'm a big believer in. And I mean I've been in virtual worlds since 1999. Like since 1999 I've been
Hmm.
playing like Ultima Online, Second Life, and World of Warcraft, and all those
Awesome.
things which I guess we all played. And now the one thing is which is definitely bad in all those worlds, or were bad, and I mean I knew it immediately, is the economy was super centralized. Like you were
Mm.
in jeopardy of the company to a full extent. I'm not even saying like partially, but you were fully in jeopardy of the company. They were dictating what is allowed or not. They were dictating what kind of prices you can use, even. They were in control of your account. They were in control of your possessions. They were in control of anything you do. And forbid the God, if you lose some of that access, you were off. Like I've been like, collecting things in Ultima for 10 years. I lost my account because of some stupid stuff. Everything's gone, right? And
Right.
that what was my thinking. And when we knew, and I knew it from the very beginning of Somnium, if I want Somnium to preserve here and be here for the next 50, 100 years, hopefully. I know people say I'm crazy by saying that, but I believe we can do that. um, the economy has to be decentralized for a big part. And Ethereum brings one crucial thing. I believe Ethereum will help for interoperability between different worlds and different applications because tokens, it's a good standard. And it's a standard which, again, it's an open database which cannot be changed. It is more trusted than if I would create a database on Somnium, right? It's just visible, it's transparent, people can check it, and nobody can change it. It's theoretical, let's say, and that is how it is. So now, when we decentralized economy and we allow our users to trade parcels or any items like avatars and stuff openly without asking us for a permission, that's awesome. That brings value for users. We had examples here. We had to ban guys for several people because they were, behaving very rudely and putting some crap stuff on their parcels. We warned them once, twice, didn't work. We said, okay, you know what? Your access is denied. So
Yeah.
if you played Unreal Tournament, you know what it means. So so the access was denied. But what happened is those guys, they were not able to come into the platform, but they went and sold their parcels and earned like 5K profit. And then at that moment, I stand up and I applaud to the situation because I said, you know what? That's exactly how it should be. And that's what Ethereum allows you to. Of course, you can build things on the central database, right? But it's always
Yeah.
kind of like then an incentive of the company or decision of the company. Do we block him fully, or we block him but allow him to trade stuff? Right now he doesn't need to ask, he doesn't even need to think about it when he buys something. And that brings another value, that brings to him a certainty that he can actually preserve his value,
Well,
even if he pisses everybody off in Somnium, and I as a god
is
say you are not allowed to come here anymore.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but he's still trusting you for that because you could say, you know what, this parcel is dead, it doesn't exist anymore, and we create a new parcel instead of that parcel, and the client,
But
we
at that
update the client
moment,
to ignore that token.
yeah, but at that very moment, we are dead as a company. I'm basically
That's
doing
fair.
doing a harakiri to myself, and this is so. First of all, I'm we are an LTD company, so
Hmm.
we have to behave to certain rules, and we it's just counterproductive. It is something we would never do, if we want to preserve the economy. In
I
and
agree.
if you compare to a central like Second Life, it's a central company. In the DNA of their terms and services, they tell you that they can do it. Like they can just say you're denied, the access is denied, we take it, and you kind of mentally you are already prepared to that because that's what they tell
No,
you
I
from the very
understand
beginning.
that.
So that is
So change the term for service. So if you took Second Life and you forked it and you changed well, it's not open source, but if it was, and you forked it and you changed the terms of service to say, you know what, we're not allowed to confiscate your property. We may ban you, but we're not allowed to confiscate your property. Then the user is now protected
Yeah, but
by the court system.
I can rewrite the whole thing, right? I can rewrite it. You cannot change the Ethereum database. You cannot change the ownership, and the trail of the ownership on the Ethereum, but you can in database. I can say you never own that. You
Sure,
never
but you can publish it. You publish it. Everyone downloads the database, so you have it. Your client downloads it from the company's servers, so you have it, and you have a signature of the company that says, "Hey, we approve the state in date so and
but that's
so,"
al-
and you
that's
have a
already
proof.
that's already kind of a
It's
three layers of if. We are now talking about, okay, if you fork the Second Life, and if you change the terms and conditions, and if
oh
everybody
sure,
downloads that.
I
i'm
agree with
just
you.
i'm just saying that Ethereum natively brings you the tools which you can use to
This is
to
true,
to
but the cost
publicly
is huge.
decentralize part of the process of the company. I'm not saying everything, and we never said that. And people who believe that some other virtual worlds are fully decentralized, they're fools. But
They're crazy. They're crazy.
exactly,
Yeah.
they're crazy. But yeah, maybe I don't want to call even in worse words. But you should understand. It's or maybe we have a few beers and then we can start calling people names. But
Well, we finally agree on something.
yeah,
Let's
of
let's
course,
you know let's
of course,
let's take advantage of that.
it's definitely what Ethereum brings is just a enormous utility in open source or open database, unchangeable database into the public, and that is a huge value for people. Moreover, what I like about Ethereum is, and that changed over time, obviously, when you mint something on the Ethereum, right, and it costs you money, like that brings a little bit of, you know what I mean, it brings you had to spend something to create something. It also
Sure. Yeah.
indirectly brings the value to that thing, because everybody knows, oh, okay, if you want to mint 5,000 tokens, oh, for God's sake, you have to pay a lot of money actually to actually do that. You mint things, you don't want to mint something and then throw it away, or it just doesn't make sense. So um, that's how I see Ethereum. Ethereum has a lot of intrinsic value which comes into it, and it just works very well as a platform, and allows companies like our to utilize that platform and build some crazy stuff on top of that, and make some cool use cases of that. And that's why I think, and I like the thing about that, if you want to build an Ethereum, you have to pay with Ethereum. It just makes sense. It helps the ecosystem to roll. It's like the fuel of the whole thing. And to me, that's why I believe that in a long term, Ethereum has a bright future, because as long as it doesn't die because of different technological aspects, like never Ethereum 2 never comes in. But let's say it all goes well and it develops over the time. I believe in the future of that. It's just because I can see and understand what is that Ethereum is doing. Why it matters. For the Bitcoin, to
Right.
me, I am having hard time. Like I'm hearing people like, yeah, it's a store of value, it's a new gold. Like, Ethereum is also a store of value. Like, why would I can pay with Ethereum? I can store value in Ethereum, and I know that Ethereum is being used more and more because people want to build more stuff, and more it's used, the more demand for Ethereum is. So why would I store value in Bitcoin if I can store value in Ethereum? What's your response to
Well,
that question?
I don't really want to convince you to buy Bitcoin if you don't see value.
Maybe I own
so
some.
I don't even it was, I want to try something else because maybe that will make it easier for us to see things on the same page. Instead of telling you why I don't like Ethereum, maybe I'll tell you the things that I do, things that are beneficial about Ethereum. So one thing, and you mentioned this, is interoperability. So I think that for whatever reason, the reason doesn't matter. For whatever reason, it just so happens that ERC20 for tokens is just the world standard for making tokens, and every exchange and every wallet and every whatever supports it. And it's similar for NFTs. They're not as popular, but in the smaller world of NFTs, and if the ERC 721 are definitely the most accepted standard. And if a client comes to me and says, hey, I want to make a token, what should I choose? Should I choose Ethereum? Should I choose Stellar?
Call, right?
I don't know, whatever. Yeah. It's very easy. I mean, I would say, why do you want to make a token? But after we
are you crazy?
Well, after we finish, exactly. But after we're done with that, then I would say, maybe you want to experiment with Stellar. Maybe they're paying you to do it. That's fine. But definitely make sure that you have an ERC20 version. Then if you want to have other ones, fine. But of course, for interoperability, you have to have ERC20. There's really no other choice. So for that, there's no argument. It's the best for that. Although I would expect it to change over time, probably a long time, not the short term, just because it's inefficient. So people might move ERC20s to Ethereum second layer stuff, but they might also move it to other non Ethereum related things. I don't know. I don't have any bets there, but I don't think that the ERC20 is the most efficient solution. But it's fine for now.
It's the most useful,
yeah. Yeah. So that's for sure. That's one. And I think that another one is, I guess, you have an ecosystem of tools that are ready to use. As you mentioned, as you said, well, that's a lot of ifs, what I said before. That's a lot. Sure, okay, I guess I could do that, and then I could do that, and then but that's a lot of work, and that's true. You already have everything ready for you on Ethereum, and you can just use it, and that's beneficial. The question is when are the costs too high? So if you were building a system which is still, it's still figuring itself out, it's still early, it moves around, I don't know, $100,000 a year or something like that, which is relatively, in the big scheme of things, is relatively small, and you're still figuring things out. So yeah, I think Ethereum is a great choice. But when we're looking at things like, like the DeFi craze now, for example, well, not now, but a month ago.
Yeah.
Then you saw projects moving around billions of dollars, and when you get to those numbers, the fees and the time that you wait and so on, that becomes very substantial, like very, very substantial. For some market participants, that could have been, they've multiple yearly salaries just on fees. I'm talking, like big funds and whatever.
Yeah.
So. It's a lot of money. And then you would ask, did you get value for that money? Like, what did you get? And no, sure, they didn't have another option, which is fine. Obviously, the whole thing happened on Ethereum. That's fine. I'm not saying don't do it. Obviously, do it. But if you're thinking ahead of building projects in the future, I'll give you an example. You mentioned that if someone builds like an avatar in Somnium and they have to pay a little bit of ether for that, then that helps create value for the thing because they put money into that. And I understand. I don't have an economics degree to tell you whether or not I agree with that or not. I don't know, but I understand the concept. I would say though, I would prefer if I'm creating content and I have to pay to make it, then I would prefer that the money goes to you, to Somnium, the company, and not to miners who are irrelevant to all of this. They didn't make any of this. I would prefer the money goes to you, so you can make this better, which would make
it goes both ways,
better.
which is the best one.
What do you mean?
Of course, we take out of it as well, of course.
No, yeah, of course, but I mean, I would want 100% of it to go to you, because then, why would I want to pay too much? I'm in this virtual world, and everyone here is using your servers anyway, and everyone is trusting you to make the client updates and maintenance and create content and do all the amazing things that you do. I want you to be able to do that. I want you to have the funds to do that. I don't want to waste some of the money on paying miners. I don't care about them. I don't.
Yeah,
I
but they
couldn't
make
care less.
sure that the system we all agreed to is maintained and proceed. Like I, as a developer, of course, I want as much profit in terms of like the fees as possible. But I also do understand, that part of that money logically has to go towards that system and towards the Ethereum network, let's say. And I'm kind of fine with that. It's part of the game which we knew from the very beginning, and I don't see a big problem with
Yeah,
that.
I mean, the only question is, obviously we can both agree that it's a question of like of scale and size. So if to create an avatar I had to pay $20,000 for miners, then obviously that's not a good deal and no one would do it. And and at least you would want the $20,000 to go to you. If people were willing to do it, you would be working very hard to make sure that $20,000
Of
go
course.
to the company and not to miners, which is great. So there is some size that is too much, and my belief is that we're already there. It's already too much. It's already not, it's already economically not making sense for participants to pay miners for something that they're not part
Okay.
of, and not.
Okay.
That's what I believe, and I believe that it's only going to get worse too. So I guess that's my point of view. Just that the waste is too big and is not going to become smaller. It's going to become bigger with time. So that's why I would suggest people to not use Ethereum for those things. That's for long-term stuff. For short-term stuff, obviously, like the DeFi craze. If you're going to build something for DeFi on another blockchain, you're insane. Like, why would you do that? Everyone's
Yeah.
running around on Ethereum. Use the thing that everyone's using for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Since we're at DeFi,
Yep.
come on. I'm looking at some stuff, and again, I'm a utility guy. I'm common sense guy. I've been a trader for 10 years. I've traded stocks and electricity contracts and stuff like that. And when I look at many projects, I'm not saying all of them, right? But I mean, when I look at many projects, it just looks to me. I don't want to use word scammy, or you know what? I want to use word scammy. It looks scammy to me, like people. It looks like a fast money grab without
Sure.
any. Like, tell me, what's your view on DeFi right now? Like, I'm pretty sure there are good projects among them, right? But right now, it's kind of like an ICO number 2 craze, where everybody is running around trying to, they call things like DAO and DeFi and all of those keywords they use in the Medium post basically. But majority of the projects don't have either of those in them. It's just some bull beep things. So what is your take on DeFi right now?
I think, if you looked at DeFi 6 months ago, then you would see probably, which is not that long at all, then you would see projects that I think were fairly honest about describing what they were doing. I had some reservations about the way that some of them described the project as decentralized, while I believed that they had a central point of failure. But other than that, I think they were mostly honest projects. They also didn't get a lot of traction, though. The honesty didn't help them in getting a lot of traction. The new crop of DeFi projects, well, they did two things. One, they took the DeFi name, they basically stole it and used it for something else. Like they almost have nothing in common with the DeFi projects of 6 months ago. So that's one thing they did, which is, I guess it's fine. It's a name, anyone can use it. The other thing they did is, I believe they realized that what most people in the crypto space, or I don't know if it's most, but definitely the people who are most active with their funds, like move their funds around the most, they just care about making quick profits. They don't really care about anything else. They just couldn't care less. So and they're fine with participating in a Ponzi scheme if they think they're early enough. They're fine with that.
Yeah.
So, those people exist, and these projects exist to serve those people. if someone doesn't want to participate in that because it feels scammy or dangerous or whatever, then they don't have to. It's there. The problem is that when that becomes very popular, then other applications can't. The access to Ethereum becomes too expensive for them, because if there are billions of dollars in DeFi, then it's very hard to move NFTs around suddenly, because you can't afford to pay $100 to compete with the huge funds who are moving sushi funds around. So
Sushi, yes.
yeah, so for example, so it's that's the point that I'm making about Ethereum. It's just you're tying yourself to other activities that maybe you don't care about at all, and you end up paying, kind of subsidizing. Like if you did move an NFT while the sushi craze was going on, then you effectively you subsidized the defect activity with your fees, which is like, why would you even do that if you don't care about it, if you don't want to be.
Like this DeFi craze, it brought a lot of new players into Ethereum. Like the number of MetaMask wallets registered skyrocketed, and new people came in. So
Oh, true, that's
people
true.
people indirectly come back to the ecosystem. They also discover NFTs. They discover some new things like this. So I think indirectly it benefited the ecosystem in general. But what I'm mostly scared and worried about is that those projects which you call like Ponzi scheme, and I agree many of those are, and clearly it's you can see it that they are, right,
Yeah,
because you cannot see the
they're not
substance.
even
They're not even
they're
hiding
not
it,
even hiding it.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, so
the,
we're in the moment where they don't even think they can even write it. It's like a Ponzi scheme, and people are like, all right, if I'm early enough, let's do it, let's write the stuff. So
yep.
the thing is, like, what I'm worried about is like there are real financial consequences of that, because when a lot of money are involved, there's suddenly it's not an only game anymore. It's something where the responsibility, with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility, and that's true. Like when you move
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of millions of dollars, or even if it's $10 million, or like sushi, $22 million, or how much was it, right? There are real consequences. There are real people who are investing real money into that, and God knows
Yep.
what that means for those people. I just see that some clouds are above all of that, which could affect again negatively the whole ecosystem because of that. Whether it's
I think
from
it already
people,
did.
yeah, it's
I
already
mean, we
did,
already
but
saw, and it might continue for sure. Yeah.
Exactly, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm worried a little bit about that respect. And then maybe even if it becomes too crazy, then the regulators will wake up, and they'll say, wait a second, like, what is going on
Oh
here,
yeah.
like, you guys are crazy, so let us think about things. And then we'll talk about points of failure and central points of failure
Yeah.
and blah blah blah, because governments can screw a lot of things up immediately for many people, not for all. And you can still access Ethereum, I'm pretty sure, if you're smart enough, and you can go a really long way to actually do that. But as we said, they can actually tighten things up pretty dramatically, and that will
Yep.
dry up some fields for sure. So, are you worried about like DeFi? What do you think? What is the next step for DeFi craze, which is happening right now? What is your natural like gut feeling tells you?
So I think there are two options. One option is that it just dies down from now on, which will probably bring some, we've seen some markets crash already, and we
Yeah.
might see more of that as more coins get out of like liquidity pools and people just sell them. So we might see that. That's one option. Another option is that this is just another small bump in the road, and actually the popularity continues to grow in a few months. That's possible. I don't know. I can't predict those things. And if that happens, then yeah, I would expect that regulators will probably intervene faster than people expect, because well, just in the last week, we've seen the SEC, I think, take
Yeah.
three different huge cases.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know. I think I assumed too, that regulators are not going to touch anything for the next few months at least, because governments are busy with COVID stuff. I thought that there's no way we're going to get any legal action at least until like the second half of 2021, if not after that. And
Here we
apparently
are. Yeah.
that was not correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to be very involved. They know exactly what's going on. They keep bringing up new cases. So yeah, it could be very close. Some of those companies, projects or teams, they're very obviously breaking many laws. They're very
Yeah.
obviously, centrally controlled. So there's an actual door that the regulators can knock on and just take the person. So why wouldn't they do that? So yeah, if DeFi just naturally becomes smaller now, then maybe they don't do it because there's no point. But if it continues to grow, then I think it's unavoidable. Really,
Yeah,
there's no
I,
way
I
around
I
it. And
actually really agree with you in that, and just to the point of SEC, actually, many people, like when I read the comments and about the cases, and people like take it in the crypto world. At least I can read what I read on openly. People take it negatively, like, oh, regulators, they try to control us again, they want to control everything, they want to screw you again, and all those feds are scams, which I believe they are, but let's say they try to do and control your life again. Honestly, when I listened to the head lady at SEC, whether Cryptomom or what, on her
hmm
her podcast, I must say, she knew exactly what she talked about, and
yeah,
she sounded reasonable. Like, she didn't want. They really try to balance stuff. They try not to hurt the industry too much, but they also try to kind of like regulate and keep some people safe. Some people who just don't understand stuff. They try to do their job, and she actually, I cannot say anything against what she said, and I was surprised by that. Because I was going to that interview, or listening to that interview, with my kind of like prepared reaction to, they want to screw us, all of us, like they're against us. But to be honest, she surprised me, and that's great. I don't think they're totally totally out of control. I think they're doing their job, and that's pretty cool.
right,
I can't believe I'm
right.
saying it, but that's
I think that, if you ask me like personally, individually, then I believe that, just generally things would have been better if each person would be left to do what they want with their money and take the risk, and also, pay for the risk when they make mistakes,
hmm
which will be often. I do believe in human beings, and I think that they will be able to manage that, difficulty.
Yep.
That being said, that's what I would prefer. That being said, that's not the reality, and the reality is that the SEC exists and bodies like that exist. And I think if you look at what they've done so far, it's very hard to say that they were very aggressive or that they overstepped their
Exactly.
bounds. I mean, most projects they didn't touch at all. They
Yep.
picked a relatively small number of them. The fines that they gave and they weren't, extremely
Even
excessive.
even
I think,
settlements and stuff. Yes, I mean it's
yeah, yeah. So I think it's very hard to argue that they've been overstepping their bounds. I think it's maybe the other way around. Maybe some people think that they should have done more. Um, I don't think they should have done more, but also, as you say, this is their job, and
they
there
issue
are
the warning.
other
They
things.
issue the warning and they say,
Yeah,
if you do stuff like this, here we are. Like
yeah,
we're watching that. So
yeah, yeah. So I would prefer to live in a world where the SEC doesn't exist, but it does exist. So we need to, we need to react to reality. There's no other choice.
yeah, I have.
So
I
yeah.
think. I think because I'm investment banker by studies, and I think
Mm,
my respect to SEC was engraved to me when I was studying it, because the SEC was
mm,
the holy grail of everything in every book I read for a long, long time,
mm,
and I was trading stocks, right? And
yeah.
SEC, of course, they were the body we looked at, and that's why historically in me I'm kind of like, okay, SEC is not a super negative, authority. It's something they try to give. And like, for example, Elon Musk, right? I admire Elon Musk, great guy. But when he went to this craze and 420 tweets and all this kind of stuff, suddenly I was
Yeah.
kind of happy that SEC existed, and they said, hey, wait a second, Elon, like, come on, guy, you should behave at least a little bit. We don't say you should like be locked up, but like, take your stuff together. Come on, man, just behave and don't screw
Yeah.
people up. So that's good. That's a good use of SEC power to just say, this is not the thing you do, and don't please do it again ever. So So yeah, so let's come back to Bitcoin because we discussed
Okay.
Ethereum. It has some values, had some flaws, but it's overall I think it's a functional system. Let's call it a functional system, which is open there, out there for everyone to see and to analyze, and it's great. What about Bitcoin? Like, why would I care? Why would
Oh, I
Bitcoin?
I don't. So I don't usually tell people that they should care about Bitcoin. I don't. I just very strongly don't believe that it's a good idea to go to people and try to convince them that they want Bitcoin. Like um,
That's what many
s-
Bitcoiners do, by the way. I'm just saying.
I know. That's what That's what a lot of Ethereum people do. That's what a lot of That's what a lot of Tron owners do. Yeah, everyone does that. I personally don't think that. I think that if someone will find a need for Bitcoin, then they'll probably arrive at it. I don't think that it's especially look. You can say, well, I want to evangelize it because it will make people buy it and it make the value go up. I don't know, maybe I'm not into that, but let's say I'm not going to go to my friends and tell them they should buy Bitcoin because if they need it, good. If they don't need it,
But why would they
why
need
would I
it?
push?
What in your opinion? What is
So
the
the
number
reason that
one
someone
reason?
might need
Yes,
Bitcoin
yes.
is if, let's say, well, the early obvious example, and a lot when I came into Bitcoin, a lot of the people I met were already into it. Were there because they were into Silk Road. They bought, forbidden items on Silk Road, and Bitcoin was just the only way to do it.
Hmm.
So they used Bitcoin, and that's the only reason they knew about Bitcoin at all. And then they started learning about it, and they became more interested in Bitcoin than why they originally used it
So
for.
you wanna
But
say that all the influencers in Bitcoin world right now are drug dealers in the past, or what?
I no, I don't know. I don't know about the current generation of influencers. Let's say I don't know. Let's say they're probably newer. They probably showed up later. But I think that the people who helped me learn about Bitcoin, they first heard about it because of Silk Road stuff. So that's one example of something you would want to do. Just buy things that you're not allowed to buy, or sell things that you're not allowed to sell. Um, that's one thing that Bitcoin is useful for. Now you might say, well, I don't want to allow crime. I don't want this to exist, which is a fair thing to say. I think that some, if I we don't have full trust in the governments of the world right now,
Nope.
and it's actually becoming worse. And I think that having people having the tool to disobey is very important. Um, that doesn't mean that disobeying is always beneficial, not at all. Many times it's not. Very often it's not. But having the technical ability to disobey is very, very important. So some people might need that. I know people who need um, certain medical supplies that they're not allowed to get, and they make them feel better. So they're sick, they're in pain, and that would help them. So for them, that's almost a lifesaver.
Yeah.
Um, so it depends. I'm not here to judge. I'm just thinking for things. So for things like that, Bitcoin is great. Other things Bitcoin is great for is well, if you don't have trust in whatever system, if you don't have trust in the Federal Reserve, if you don't have trust in whatever, or even, it doesn't have to be black and white. Like, I think reasonable people would agree that there's definitely some value, obviously, in the US dollar, and you may want to hold some of it. But also, you may want to hedge that with something that's neutral and isn't going to change. I think that the fact that it's not going to change makes it valuable, just because you don't have to second guess what's going to happen. If I'm holding, and I'm just giving Ether as an example because it's number two, but it could be anything else.
Hmm.
If you're holding any of the other cryptocurrencies, you don't know. Um, you don't know what's going to be the supply tomorrow because maybe it changes. Like for Ether, for example, we know that the economic properties of it are going to change fairly soon. We
Hmm.
just don't know exactly when. We don't know exactly what it will look like after the change because that's not decided yet. We know it's going to happen though, and it's likely to happen again at some point in the future. So we don't know what the rules are. or to
What
be more
about
accurate, we
Bitcoin? I
don't
mean,
know
there is
what
also
the rules are
possibility to
going to be.
fork stuff, right? I mean, there are some ways how this could also go a little bit off rails.
Well, yeah, I think that the reason that Bitcoin isn't changing, it never changed. So for more than 10 years, the economic properties, the monetary properties of Bitcoin never changed, even a little bit, which is, Bitcoin forked many times. There were bugs, there were hard forks, there were soft forks, there were all kind of stuff. But the monetary properties of Bitcoin never changed, and even an inch. While Ethereum's and pretty much all of the other coins definitely did change and are likely to change again if they stick around. And the reason that Bitcoin didn't change isn't technical. It's not technological. There's nothing technologically inherent to Bitcoin that makes this possible. The reason that it's not changing is that Bitcoin holders are not going to allow it to change. That it's a social reason.
That's back coming back to our discussion about why Somnium would not change the land. It's exactly the same reason as well.
Well, yes, but with Somnium, I have to trust specifically Somnium as an entity. With Bitcoin, I don't have to, and I'm fine. Again, as I said, I'm fine with that. I think that it's great that I have to trust you and can trust you because I do, and I think that's what making this whole project great. With Bitcoin, you don't have this entity that you have to trust. What you have is the ability to understand the interests of just the general participants, because you have the set of rules that you can understand. You can understand how people are going to behave with that set of rules, and you just know that it's there in, and looking at the past and looking at the incentives that they have, they're not going to change the rules. With Somnium, I do agree with you. You're not going to make this world infinite for the reasons that you mentioned, but I don't know if you're gonna if you're going to grow the supply by 10% or 5% or 20% or 1%. And what I do know is that you're going to make the right decision. I mean, well, people make mistakes, but you're going to make, you're going to do what you can, of course. But no, but you're going to make, you're going to try to make the best of it. And if you make a mistake, you're going to fix it. So exactly. I do trust you to do that, but that's trust, and that's fine. I trust Epic Games to do the best to entertain their audience, to do the best to entertain the gamers. Okay. Yes, of course.
Okay. I have strong opinion about Epic Games, at least for now, so we can discuss that later.
Well, sure. I mean, they're very powerful and they care about having control and whatever, for sure. I think they do that, obviously, as a corporation, they do that to maximize profits. Mm-hmm. But I think that they understand that the way to maximize profits is to create great content. So
or to see Apple and Google.
Sure. And they made great content when they sued Apple. They did that. True. They created a lot of entertainment for the rest of us.
Yeah. Not so much. Oh, I mean, I think the lawyers of Apple are also having a lot of fun. But okay, I can understand your arguments about Bitcoin. Now I can tell you a story, a real life story. Okay. And you react to that story with your thoughts. You never heard that story. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you it first time. So I had a chance to. I was in one conference. I don't remember which one. I think it was about Liberland and stuff, because Liberland has an embassy here in Somnium, official one. And cool. And I was speaking at the conference, and I met Roger Ver, the Jesus there, and I liked his presentation. He gave a very very powerful and open-minded presentation about Bitcoin Cash and why people care. And what I liked about that presentation is, it was, again, core was about the use case. Like, why would you care? Because you can do this, and that. Too easy, too straightforward. That's how it is, right? And then we spoke, and I liked the solution he had. I liked the solution, and we actually happened to had a treasure hunt in Somnium. And we wanted people, we were hiding keys in Somnium, like if you real Ready Player One stuff, hiding keys, people running in VR for the whole map and searching for the keys. And part of this, and we just discussed, and I mentioned that, and he said, you know what, we can provide some Bitcoin Cash, and you could do those QR code stuff, so people can collect QR codes directly from within the game. And I said, that's awesome, actually. So I used the
Hmm.
tool, which actually worked super well. And we've hidden. I think he sponsored like I don't know, $1,000 worth of QR codes here,
Cool.
and
Awesome.
it worked flawlessly. Like honestly, the setting up of this thing and doing this was like a 10 minute stuff for us as a company,
Hmm.
right? And once we did that, and people were obviously happy collecting with with wallets and stuff, and everything worked flawlessly. Immediately, you had money on your account and stuff like that. And some people, not all, majority loved it, but some people came to us and said, "Oh my goodness, why are you even talking to this guy? What is this? Bitcoin Cash is not a real
No, ¿qué
Bitcoin,
estás
and
hablando, todo loco?
this is just crazy, and all this kind of stuff."
Me encanta.
And I said, like, whoa, stop. I mean, it works. It works well. Like, why would I even care what are you saying? Because it doesn't matter if it's a real Bitcoin or is not real Bitcoin. It works, and it works really well. So now, what's your reaction on that? Like, what do you make out of this discussion, and what do you think about like Roger and Bitcoin Cash? What's your opinion? Because I am a very utilitarian guy. I mean, it works. It works really well. I love their wallet, by the way. It's very seamless, very easy to use, good UI, all those kind of small things which matter. So what do you take out of that conversation?
Yeah, my personal opinion is I think there's this saying, if I recall the saying correctly, it's saying that money doesn't smell.
Mm-hmm.
Money is money. And if a person is offering to sponsor Somnium Space and they're offering a good deal and it's
Oh,
gonna
just to disclaim, we didn't do
be good
because
for
he
the
offered the
users.
money. We did because it brought this use case which I can use immediately in the world. Like it was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
quick to use that I couldn't
yeah.
resist
I
just
understand.
doing it. It's like super
Yeah, I
easy.
understand. Not just the money. Sure, not just the money. It's the money. It's the system.
Yeah.
It's the process. It's the experience for sure. And I don't see why you wouldn't do it. If it's good for users, it's good for you. Why not? Some people, who are more involved with the history are, they dislike Roger Ver for various
Oh, I've read all the books, of
reasons.
course, as well. I mean,
And they feel that it was more, for some people it's really personal. They had like personal disagreements with him, and so I wouldn't, I can understand why they were like pissed off, and I can understand why you shouldn't care about them being pissed off. They're not your user, they're not your clients anyway. They're not, like, why should you care about their personal feuds with some person? No one, you can't make everyone
oh,
happy,
and
right?
by the way, I'm so just one add-on. Majority of those people who told me that they never spoke to him even. I spoke to Roger, and
Yeah,
at least I had more informed decision about him as a person. And he was, by the way, very polite and very,
I'm
open-minded
sure.
and
Yeah.
clever. So I'm just saying that there is a big difference between like reading some book and actually speaking to person and giving a
Oh
chance
yeah,
to like that's a
I
big
agree with you.
difference.
I agree with you. I don't know, I don't know these people. I don't know who they are. I can tell you that I probably wouldn't have said the same thing, and I understand your decision seems to be the correct one. Um, I think that just to put this in context, to maybe give an example that will be easier for you to recognize, then imagine that in that conference, instead of meeting Roger Ver, you would have met Justin Sun from Tron, and he would have walked up to you and said, "Hey, I like what you're doing. How about I give you $1,000 or $1,000,000 or whatever
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Tron coins, and you can give it away to people." Now, I still think that you would be right to
If
take
he'd
it,
be
to take
polite,
the.
if
Yes.
his system would work well and and serve the purpose
Yeah.
for people, I don't think a big problem. Like
Yeah.
I honestly don't bet immediately like who is scammer or whatever. But in that case,
Sure.
in vacuum, I don't see a big problem in doing so.
Sure. So I don't see a problem with that either, but I think we both can agree that a lot of people in the Ethereum community would show up and say, "No, you can't do
Of
this
course,
with Tron. It's a scam." And so
of
so
course,
in a very similar way, and by the way, the reasons are actually similar. Like Bitcoin Cash is a fork of Bitcoin, Tron is a fork of Ethereum. There's a lot of similarity in the way that this came to be, and I think that both are fine. I think that, if Roger Ver offers a solution that's good for you, it's great. If Justin Sun offers a solution that's good for you, it's great. But I can understand. I'm saying that just to explain the reaction from the community. Like, yes, the Bitcoin community, at least some of the
Oh,
people in
it's
the
a very
Bitcoin community.
minor reaction. So the super minority
Yeah,
did that. So I'm just saying. I just wanted to bring
yeah,
that example.
yeah. So I think, we're all kind of crazy in our own ways. I think the Bitcoin community has its problems, and the Ethereum community too. Like, everyone has the extremists who are just, they think that you shouldn't be allowed to talk to people if you don't like them.
Yep.
I agree with you that that's not a good way to go around the world, probably.
Especially right now in 2020, like people have to
Yep.
talk to each other rather than not.
Yep.
Amen. But okay, so Bitcoin. I mean, for me, the people like so quick question, quick answer. Why do you think the value of Bitcoin should rise, or do you think it will?
Well, I'm
Not a
I'm not
financial
here to
advice.
speculate. Advice, and I'm not a good speculator either. I think that I don't view it as a certainty as some people do. Some people, you're going to ask them what, Bitcoin obviously in 2 years is going to be
Hundreds of,
$100,000,
yeah,
and in
exactly.
5 years it's going
Yeah,
to be $1 million, and in
yeah.
10 years they have a chart. They'll read you out the exact prices in every year. I'm not sharing those views. I think that it's a good hedge. I think that especially if some certain things in the real world go to shit, then Bitcoin might be a good hedge. I wouldn't recommend anyone to have their entire life savings or more than their entire life savings in Bitcoin. Um, Maybe some people know more than I do, and that's fine, and they choose to do their decisions. I'm just not recommending that. um, so I don't know. I don't
But
know. I think it is a good hedge, though. I
and
think that it
if it's
has.
let
Yeah.
me rephrase the question and make it even a little bit more tough. If you and what do you say sounds super reasonable. And for God's sake, I thought we would disagree more. Now we agree almost on everything. So if you're bored by now, I'm sorry.
It's a
That's not
terrible trick that I pull.
exactly. But let's say if you necessarily don't say that. Okay, you believe that Bitcoin skyrocket. All right, and it's a good hedge. I can hear this argument. What is the other thing apart from value appreciation in Bitcoin, which attracts you? Because as a payment solution, as far as I've seen, it pretty much sucks. I mean, it kind of like
Oh, sure.
talking about the transaction costs and timing to wait. Like Ethereum is gold right now in comparison with Bitcoin. So like, why would anyone care apart from the value appreciation tool, which we say, okay, let's forget about that right now if we don't know what the price will be in the future? What else should people care about in Bitcoin? Maybe
So I
buying
I
pizza
think that I think that I can't promise value appreciation. I think that the potential for value appreciation
is there.
is
Yeah,
enough.
yeah.
As you take risks when you make investments, and this
Hmm.
is a risk that maybe it won't appreciate. Maybe it might. Maybe all value is destroyed. That's an option.
But
I
apart from investment, what
I
else? What
I
else?
don't necessarily know that there is something else. That's the reason. Look, it's not just for speculation. In that the reason that you might hold it, for some people at least, is because you want to have funds that are safer and untouchable. I leave, for example, let's say um, it's all going to be gray things. Let's say you're in a marriage. Okay, let's say you're someone's wife and you're being abused. Okay,
Hmm.
and you know that you're not going to stay with that person, and you also know that you can't leave them now for whatever reason,
Hmm.
and you are able to make some income for yourself, which maybe you want to hide because you know that the person who abuses you might take advantage of you if they know about it. So Bitcoin might help you hide that income. Bitcoin might help you hide those holdings. Bitcoin is not the only tool that could do that. For example, you might be able to do the same thing with USDT, okay, for on top of Ethereum. Um, but maybe you care about having, a tool that is just safer for you, that you trust more, because USDT is something that is a bit difficult to trust for some people. Not for everyone. I think some people trust it fully, but some people might be having some problems trusting it. And with Bitcoin, you have another set of risks. It's not like you don't have any risks. You certainly do, but it's a different set of risks. Maybe you're very, financially sophisticated and you're able to hold some of your assets in USDT and some of your assets in BTC in order to hedge in that way. Maybe you're not. I can't, so I don't see Bitcoin as something that is very useful for the general public right now. I wouldn't push Bitcoin as a mainstream thing, not at all. I think it requires at least some amount of sophistication
Mm-hmm.
to use it in a beneficial way. It is what it is. That's why I'm not evangelizing it very heavily to normies, so-called normies.
Yep.
I would argue that using Ethereum successfully requires a lot of sophistication too. That's not necessarily bad, but it limits
Yeah,
the
100%.
current
I agree. Yeah.
audience.
Yep.
So yeah, it is what it is. I don't think that it's as some people present it as the solution to all of the world's problems. Not at all. And I can't I I I can't present it as a better than Ethereum or worse than Ethereum. I don't think it's either. It's just almost completely unrelated to Ethereum. On the surface level, it uses some of the same technologies. True, but that's implementation detail. That's not important. Like Somnium Space and Fall Guys use some of the same technologies, but they're very different. They're hardly related. They're definitely not competing. So it's just another thing.
Okay. I mean, very reasonable answer. Let's, as the maybe last topic, discuss or
We didn't talk about VR at all.
Yeah. Wait. We're coming there. That's what I wanted to say three letters NFT, and through the NFT we'll come to the VR. So, your stand on NFTs, in general. Let's start general, then
Okay.
I'll get more precise.
So for the same reason that I think that Ethereum is wasteful for most things, I think that it is also wasteful for NFTs. In that, well, we already mentioned that if Ethereum has a lot of heavy usage for other things, then suddenly NFT transactions become expensive. And either way, they have some cost attached, even when the network is relatively free.
Of course.
It's still there's a cost attached. There's a time cost attached. And for the same reasons we talked about before, I just think it's not worth it. Whatever you can do with an NFT, you could do without it. That's, I guess, my main points. For example, this you showed me this painting behind us.
Yes.
And you told me that this belongs to you because you bought the token
directly from the artist.
Is tied to it. Yes.
Yes.
So
how would I do it without NFT so that it's recognizable and unchangeable by anyone in the system? Like, describe me this, because I cannot publish the artist can publish my name and say he bought it from me, but that's just that
what's the problem with that? What exactly is the thing that you achieved? Like, you gave the artist money and he gave you a token, but how is the token related in any way to this drawing?
There's several layers of that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say, so here's an example that I hope that I can communicate in a way that makes sense. Let's look at NFTs as let's try to describe them as something else. So let's say you have Litecoin. Okay, you have Litecoin, the coin, and Litecoin has a logo. We all know it. It's the letter L inside a circle. It's very similar to the Bitcoin logo, but it's silver. It's gray. That's the Litecoin logo. And you could argue that when someone is buying some Litecoins, some LTC, you could argue that he's buying a fraction of the Litecoin logo. Because why not? You can say that. And you can say that's the logo, and the logo belongs to people who own Litecoin. And if you own 10% of all Litecoins, you own 10% of the logo. You can say that.
It's a stretch
I don't know what
argument.
it
Yes,
means.
you can say that. Yes,
You
yes.
can, yeah, I don't know what it means exactly, because what does it mean that you own 10% of the logo? And even if you owned 100% of it, what does it mean? Can
Yeah,
you,
yeah, yeah.
like, what? It's a, it's a circle.
What's
Okay, you
utility?
own,
Yeah.
yeah, you own the circle, fine. Um, so, and then if you look at how you implement the NFTs, you end up with the exact same thing, the exact same system. You end up with a way to register who owns tokens, and you just say that those tokens represent the logo. Like you could say the tokens represent the Litecoin logo, or the tokens represent the painting, or the tokens represent an avatar. But you just say that. There's nothing that is actually tying them together other than this thing that you said. So just what did you get by buying it? Other than you now you have the right to say that you bought it. Sure. But what did you get? It's
And not
as
only
much
that,
as you got when buying
not only so.
LTC.
Okay, so there are several layers. Like, let's use the art example. All right, this is art piece behind us. I bought this art piece directly from the artist. This information, that transaction, is engraved in the blockchain and cannot be changed. So this is there forever. The token is associated with that transaction, and you can verifiably prove without going to artists. You can just verifiably prove that that was an original purchase from that artist for that amount of money. All right, we agree on that. So this is something which is there. The
Sure.
question, so what else Ethereum gives me a possibility to do is to transact with this piece of art freely further. I can sell it in a very recognizable market or in many different markets. I can display it as I do here.
You can display it anyway. I took a screenshot of that just now, and I can display it
Yes,
in
you
my
can display
house.
it,
I
but
can display it.
yeah, you can display it in your house, and you can have aesthetical pleasure of it, maybe,
Sure.
but you will not have ever any authentic transaction with that if suddenly this artist, for example, becomes tremendously popular, which happens sometimes. And I didn't buy this
Hmm.
piece just for that. I just like the piece. But let's say the artist becomes tremendously popular, and his pieces are going 1,000 times the value you paid. Now you have a problem with your screenshot because bad luck. I have a pretty good ability to just sell that art
But you
and
don't have no. But you don't have the art. You have a token, and you might say maybe the token appreciates in value, but the token is a token. It has nothing to do with the art.
it
You
can
can
be.
say
I
the
mean,
only
it
the
can be.
only thing that the token has to do with the art is that the token is promoted by the art in the same way that the Litecoin, the LTC token, is promoted by
Not
the
necessarily.
Litecoin logo.
There are ways how to
Well,
associate the token and to engrave the art directly into the token.
oh no,
Which
no, sure, for sure. You can, of course, you can, you can have the hash of the file in there and whatever, and you can show that this is the first time it appeared on the Ethereum blockchain. Sure, you can do that, but that, that doesn't, that, no problem. But that, the token is still the token. It's not the artwork. It's the token. The artwork is the artwork, and the token is the token. The fact that I could,
yeah,
I could take a shoe, and on the shoe I can imprint the hash of the file, and now I can tell you the shoe is the file, but it's not. It's a shoe with with the hash inscribed on the on the sole. So
oh
I
yeah,
mean that's what it
again,
is.
if you're a collector and if you want to have an authentic proof of something you own, there is, at least for the time being, there is no more efficient and decentralized way in the
Oh,
world
sure. The fact
than
that there's
this.
no other way is
They,
true.
there's just this is the, and again, I'm not a big art collector. We have in Somnium, like Museum of Crypto Art, the two buildings they host like almost 500,000 worth of crypto art or whatever that amount is, like really huge
We
values.
can argue if they're worth $500,000 just because
I
someone
mean, we can look at
paid
the
$500,000 for them.
true, but
You
that's
can
all.
pay
It's
yourself
always
half a million
exactly.
dollars.
It's always about the art like this. That's why art is a little bit difficult because it's a subjective thing
True.
and stuff. But there are some recognizable art pieces which are beautiful and people do generally recognize that they are beautiful. Unfortunately, not this art piece, even though I think it's beautiful. But
I think it's amazing.
it's great, and I'm just saying that there is no better way for art to authentically art as industry, I mean, to authentically prove something is legit, especially in the digital realm, than this. Like, I don't
Oh,
know the
I'm okay with
system.
that claim. There's no
Yes,
better way.
there's no
Yeah.
better way, and because of that,
But it's a very bad way. It's a very bad way,
I
and there's
don't
no
think
better
so.
way.
I don't think it's a better way. I think it's a very elegant way to create again, talking about interoperability. Now, because Ethereum is the ecosystem which is growing and allows people to do stuff. Now suddenly we as Somnium Space, we say to collectors, wow, if you own the tokens in your wallet, we scan your wallet and we allow you to show your stuff in your parcel. And suddenly this art, from being some file somewhere, never seen by anyone else, it suddenly becomes an amazing, incredible art piece which you can admire. And it
So let me
actually
give you an example.
yeah.
Let me give you an example of why the token isn't the art. Okay, so let's say
I never claimed token is
I
the art. I'm just claiming that token is a
or that it
important
even represents the art.
Yes.
So let's say I'm a great artist. I mean, I am, and I make a beautiful
Of
beautiful
course.
painting of Justin's son kissing Roger, for example, and then I take the hash.
Can I have the first version of this?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
All right.
Now here's the tricky part.
All right.
So I create a token and I
Yes.
sell it to you, and I
Yeah.
put the hash of the
Oh, no,
file.
I want to have it as a
and
present,
the
but okay, we'll
token.
discuss it later.
I give it for you
Okay,
for free for
yes.
creating this amazing studio, and I send it to you,
Mhm.
and now you feel like you're the first owner of it,
Mhm.
and you look through the blockchain and you see that there's no other token with the same
I'll
hash.
certainly
You're
do
the
so.
first one,
Yes.
and then
Mhm.
10 years later, it happens to become the most famous painting in the world, and it's suddenly worth I don't know, $100 million.
So
because
far,
it's
I'm
very...
liking the story. Really.
Yes, yes. But then you find out that just before I sent it to you, I took the same photo. I
Mhm.
changed one pixel in it before
Mhm.
I sent it to you.
Mhm.
I had another hash of the same photo with the changed pixel, and I sent it to myself
Right.
before I sent it to you.
Okay.
And now I'm showing up to the world and I'm saying, hey, this is the first one. Yours isn't the first one. You can see on the blockchain that this is the first one because I sent it to myself before.
The beauty of it is when you send my gift, which you created for me, at the
Mhm.
moment I know your wallet address, I can easily check whether you did it or not. Like, wait, yeah, I can.
No, because because you will see another token there with another hash, and you wouldn't know what it is a hash of because you will never find it.
Oh, I can
I'm
visualize.
the only one
I
who
can
has
visualize the token, right? I mean, if you want to make it as a painting, you will send me something which also has the visualization behind it. Like, it's not only a token; it's also visualizing this. So
I'm sending you the other one. I'm sending you yours, but
I
I'm
can
not
scan
sending
your wallet
you the...
and see if you have another visualized token. If I see the same image, I'll say my
well,
friend.
the file just won't be available. It will specify a hash, and the file won't be available when you check. I will keep it hidden. You'll see an error message, and you'll figure, oh, he doesn't know how to issue tokens, so it's an error message. Then 10 years later, I show up with the correct file with the hash because I prepared it beforehand, and I say, hey guys, this is the first one. And you will not be able to prove that you've been cheated because the record shows that this token existed before and I presented the image that fits it. So what are you going to say? Maybe you're going to say something like, well, look, Udi is obviously cheating because you know what happened. We talked about it for years. It's been, this happened 10 years ago, and I've been showing this in my virtual room, and I've been talking about it in interviews. You know what happened. He can just show up and say that he made that before, and that's true, but you don't need a blockchain for that. You're just trusting your word against mine, which maybe people will believe you, but you're just trusting you over me, which is fine. Maybe that's going to work for you, but you don't need the blockchain for that.
But you know that you can engrave into the blockchain the JSON file. You can engrave the and even into the hash, you can engrave the image name and other things. So in case I get that and the data is there,
no problem. I'll engrave everything.
Yeah,
but I can't engrave the actual data. Let's say maybe an image is maybe small, but I can't engrave an avatar that's too big. So I can't
avatar you cannot, yes, but you can engrave the image. Like you can actually create an image on-chain art, that exists, and you cannot change it anymore once it's
You mean
created.
just put the entire data of the entire image file onto the trans? That's huge. That's like 1 megabyte. That's huge.
For this kind of art, yes. For the smaller one, like you have pixel chain or you have other examples of that, you can do that.
Okay,
Like
so I
there's
guess NFTs are very useful if you're selling 2 pixels. I guess NFTs are great for that.
there's
If
even
you're
1 pixel. There's one artist who sold 1 pixel, red pixel and white pixel for $12,000, or if
so
I'm not mistaken. So that's
we can agree. We can agree that NFTs are useful for art between 1 and 10 pixels. I think that there's a limited amount of types of art that fit in 10 pixels. I think it's very limited. About I know we can calculate it.
But coming back to your
It's not a
example,
lot.
even if this happens,
Yes.
even if this happens, and your art
Yep.
becomes enormously famous, and someone is willing to pay $100 million for your art piece, even
Yep.
if you come up, and you being a crazy jerk if you do that, but if you come up and say, "Hey,
Well, it's me.
exactly,
So
actually, I've created, I've created the original one. I believe." Maybe that's that there's something, but I still own provably an art from you, all right, whether it's number 2 or number 1.
Oh, sure, but
And
I can claim that I created billions of them, and only the first one is valuable.
yeah, but I'm just saying that this still I will hold the value, because it's a universally proven fact that I've received an art from you, and that art exists in this space, and that is why
Sure.
I have. So it's, of course, again, for you it will be a suicidal mission to do something like that, and that's how the economical powers and reputational powers come in. NFTs,
I don't know that it will be suicidal. Why would it be suicidal? If I get $100 million for the painting, I have 2 options. I can get $0 and I can get $100 million. One option is to get $100 million, and maybe the other is suicidal, but it's not suicidal to get $100 million. What do I care? After I get that, I'm out of here, man. I don't care about what you think about my.
True, but again, like if we go deep into this, like you can go into the logs things, and just you say, okay, I've later on attached the image to that token. It's traceable. You can see the changes. You can track that down if you want. So if it goes about $100 million, I'll make sure that we'll compare those 2 tokens to a very deep extent, to make sure that, or the person who is paying you $100 million, he will make sure to.
No, but I'll be able to show that the date of the creation of the token was before I ever sent you one. I'll be able to show that.
But what about the files behind the tokens? What about the image itself? What about the?
I'll present the image 10 years later. You won't be able to prove that the image didn't exist 10 years ago. That's the thing about it.
Depending where you host it, depending where you host it, depending how you upload it there, depending how you do it.
I'm gonna so that's all true. So you're saying, well, maybe I trust Amazon to tell the world that the picture didn't exist before. That's fine. If you trust Amazon, though, you don't need a blockchain again. So why did you do all of that?
No, but if you're talking about IPFS,
what I'm saying is,
there are decentralized ways how you, or partly decentralized way how you can host images.
Yeah, but on IPFS you cannot. That's true, but you can't prove with IPFS that a file did not exist 2 years ago, for example. You can maybe prove that it did exist, maybe, but you definitely can't prove that it didn't exist. So if I'm gonna say, well, it was there, your connection was bad, you didn't get the file, whatever, and you're gonna say, no, it never existed. But you can't prove it, which is a fair claim, but we will never be able to prove that claim. So all I'm saying is it will come down to, are people trusting my version of the story, or are they trusting your version of the story? They won't have hard evidence to either side. They will have to trust one of them. They're very likely to believe you more than they believe me, because my story is insane. But if they only look at the data on the blockchain, there's nothing there to prove.
But that's why marketplaces exist. That's why sites like Super Rare, Non-Origin, Rarible, and others exist, because they are basically providing another layer of trust into the system. And by the way, I agree with you. Crazy, how can this happen? We're agreeing so much, but I agree with you in the fact that there are examples where these have been misused already in the art industry, for example.
Mm.
And people started to create stuff, but in the same time, they had a short-term gain, but a very huge long-term, punishment in terms of the
Oh,
they,
maybe.
they they
Yeah.
lost credibility and stuff like this. So and the platform started to ban them and blah blah blah. So I'm just saying that what
Sure.
NFTs
But
provide, and it's not that it's NFT itself as the cure from every disease in the world. NFT is the ability to create different applications, and it's an ability for everyone to use the system, which everybody knows how it works, which with the general publicly acknowledged rules, which cannot be changed by any strong participant because he just wants to change that. It's kind of like, it's there. And can it be misused at some points? Yes. Can it be well or badly designed? Of course. But if it's well designed thing, and if it's something which comes from a trusted party, um, you still having Ethereum lets you trust other party less than you would need to trust if Ethereum didn't exist. That's what I wanted to say. This is a better system. It's an evolutionary better system. I would even say it's revolutionary better system, but than having a central party and having to trust the central authority. That's
hmm
that's that's it. And also, again, economically, for Somnium, today in 2020, there is no better way Somnium could build its in-game economy than blockchain. It's hard to onboard people. I understand, like VR. We talk about VR briefly now, but it's hard to
yeah.
onboard people. But once they do it, there's no way back. And it's just literally people will never want to come back because they understand the whole system is much more natural and faster than exchanging PayPal credits, even though it seems to be easier today. But it's just, in the long run, it's basically counterproductive for people to do. So that's why I'm saying it is a better tool for the purpose which we are building: virtual worlds, art, DeFi, and exchange of value payments, whatever that is. Insert your own description, but that it's just a better system, and that system it's on the way to trustless system. It's not fully there, but it's getting there.
Yep.
And I think we're on a good path to be there, to actually reach that point at some years, whether it's 5 or 10, I don't know. But nobody's in a hurry. Why would everybody be in a hurry? Like, why would you want to have decentralized everything today if it doesn't make sense? You can
Oh, we
decentralize
agree on that for
certain
sure.
parts. You should decentralize certain parts, and you should do first steps. But like the finish of that should happen somewhere later. Like, if talking about VR, like, you have examples of Altspace, you have examples of VR chat, and you have examples of
hmm
Somnium. Now, if you know independent on the amount of users, VR chat is doing great in amount of users and how they tend to attract people, and it's amazing creative platform. And I love VR chat and stuff, apart from those crazy young people who are running there and swearing all the time. But uh, other than that, it's a great technical platform. But if I'd ask you a question, and I generally want to hear your answer, like, what
hmm
do you think in 10 years, like, the economical value of virtual, like, how would people transact in both worlds? What do you bet? Where would you see more transactions happening, in Somnium Space or in VR chat, and why? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, y- it's hard to really tell because both VRChat and Somnium Space can change a lot in those 10 years and become very different. Hopefully both do build and become bigger and unrecognizable
Of
in
course.
10 years than what they are today. So it's hard to really tell. I think that you probably will not be a fan of this, but I think that probably the best chances are for companies like Epic Games again, and companies from more of the established gaming space. I think they're trying to get there. They're doing it in a very different way, very, very different way. Um, and I think companies like Epic Games with Fortnite, Microsoft with Minecraft, Roblox, which I think is going public now. They build those very limited spaces where people can create in a very limited way, and definitely in a very controlled way. Like the people creating content are hardly in control of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
content.
yeah.
But they also get to have a huge audience. A creator might have much lesser control, but what it gets instead is a huge audience and huge exposure, and sometimes that can make life-changing amount of money just by being exposed to that audience. So that's what creators really want, and it costs them with control, yes, but they get tools are easy to use, and they get the audience, they get all they get. I Unfortunately, and I do wish that it didn't have to be that way, but unfortunately I'm more bullish on closed systems like that. I think they would have an easier time to become like the standard and the thing that everyone uses, because they're closed, because there's a huge company behind them, because they can push, and they can subsidize, and they can build like amazing things very fast, and they already have the audience. So now, Epic Games already knows that it wants to build a metaverse around Fortnite, and the only question now is how are they going
Oh,
to do
they're
that
dead. If they
in the
if they want to do
fastest
that, they're
and
dead.
most efficient way.
Honestly, like Fortnite
Maybe.
calling metaverse Fortnite a metaverse for me is the biggest insult I've ever heard. It's not
Well,
you.
but it's
You're
like,
not you're not
yeah,
guilty of that. But it's like of all the
it's like
publications.
DeFi, right? It's like DeFi, right? You have the pure DeFi in the beginning, and then someone shows up and does something which is almost a scam, and they call that DeFi, and then everyone calls it a DeFi. That's what it means, right? So someone can, they can take Fortnite, change a few things, and call that a metaverse, and people just don't know what the word metaverse means. So now that's what a metaverse is. It could happen. I agree with you. It's very different than the vision that people have right now. Um, True, that's true.
Yeah,
But I
I mean,
think that
so just think
unfortunately
about
they have a very big good chance. I think.
it. Like we as the company have less users than VR chat, just a tiny bit. But and yet we have built a foundation for economical transactions in the world. Within a year, the
Right.
amount of goods and services exchanged in Somnium already surpassed $3 million.
You have revenue.
$3
Yeah, you
million.
have revenue, and
We
VR
are
chat
the
has
most
no revenue.
we are the most profitable VR world in the world. This is fact. It is fact.
Well, Decentraland sold like $25 million.
Decentraland has no virtual reality, so I'm just saying there's a
It
big
has
difference.
no voice chat.
Exactly. So let's not dive into that. I don't want to be negative here. All right. So I'm talking about like VR chat, rec room, outspace, like the real VR worlds. Real stuff you can use. They have no revenue so
Right.
far, right? As far as I know, though,
True.
maybe I'm wrong, but as far as I know, they have no revenue. They burn money quite quickly, which is good if you grow and stuff, which is absolutely fine from the investment point of view, and they should do that.
Hmm.
I'm just saying we are kind of going in a completely different route, and I certainly believe, again, being involved in virtual worlds for 20 plus years, I believe that in the long run, right now we're in a big disadvantage. Onboarding people into MetaMasks, like people, just VR guys, like normal VR people, and
Yeah.
like onboarding them on MetaMask, it's like a
Yeah.
hell of a ride. But once you do
Yeah.
that, it's kind of like the drop rate of our users is we're like 95%. People stay when they come in
Hmm.
and they invest into, and they understand why they invest, not because they just fancy bought a plot of land. They build, they monetize it, blah blah blah. They actually understand it and they never want to leave, which is a very powerful thing. And
Sure. Yeah.
so
That's great.
I think we have a chance to stand. And of course, I'm not being like with pink glasses or something. We have a lot of challenges ahead of us, and I don't even take like VR chat or Outspace as competition. I would rather make interoperability and let people jump from one world to another, having different experiences. I for sometimes want to go to VR chat to have a party, or maybe to go to RecklessVR, and then I go back to Somnium Space to have another party here. That's what I believe metaverse is. It's a lot of different worlds with interoperability
Yeah.
built in, not like one world which dominates everything, because that's horrible view. Like I don't want Somnium to be the only company in the world, believe it or not, making the VR world, because the diversity should be. and there's enough people in the world to actually have all the, all the revenues in the world, and have like 100 millions, hundreds of millions of people on board on different platforms, and still you'll have a lot of spare people to have. So I don't think so. My vision is metaverse. There's a lot of worlds. Each one of those is unique, and you know it. Somnium
Hmm.
looks different from VR chat. VR chat looks different from Outspace. I don't even talk about Facebook Horizon because that looks like Rec Room. So it's all kind of stuff, and I really believe in this future, or at least I will do my best to make sure that that's the future players live in. I don't want
Yeah,
people to end up being only in Somnium. Like, really, that's not our even aim. That's never been the aim. The aim is to create a
yeah.
platform where people want to exist, but also to be able to build the bridges. And we actually do. We were one of the first companies to provide the teleports to other worlds, VR worlds. Say, hey, go away from here. You
Hmm.
can teleport to high fidelity, and just don't forget
Yeah.
to come back. But other than that, you're free to do whatever you want. So yeah,
Yeah.
how do you actually, what's your journey in VR? Like, which worlds do you use the most, which you don't? Like, what's your view on that?
So I think what we do in Reckless VR is very similar to what you describe. And by the way, if anyone, I don't know how long we've been talking, if anyone is still listening, then definitely check out
Yes, please
recklessvr.com
pause
for
this
weekly
video,
meetups.
go to the Reckless VR, check that, then come back. Okay, please come back.
Yes. So what we do, we have this Telegram channel with more than 2,000 people in there,
Mm-hmm.
and other gaming communities usually use Discord, I guess. Um, and and what you often see both in VR and just in gaming, you have communities that are not necessarily built around a certain specific game. They're built around, sometimes it's a geography, sometimes it's some hobby, sometimes it's around a certain person or around a certain company or whatever. A community forms around some topic,
Mm-hmm.
a community of gamers, and then they just play multiple games together. They don't play just one game. One day they want to play Fortnite, the other day they want to play Call of Duty, and another day they want to play Minecraft, whatever. They play whatever they want to play. I know I'm a boomer. I'm naming games like an idiot. Like Minecraft, Call of Duty. I know it's not very cool of me. I'm sorry,
Oh no, I'm
and
I'm
I don't know
I'm
any
in
of the
line
cool
with you
games.
actually.
Fall Guys. It's Fall Guys and Among Us. I know. Fall Guys and Among Us are the two big games today. I
Unreal
know that.
tournaments.
Okay.
Unreal tournament. Come on, that's the real stuff here. Name the real games, man. Come on. Duke Nukem.
so exactly. So in Reckless VR, it's similar. We do the events every week, but we change up the platforms that we use. So we use if we're gonna do a front, just a presentation, then we're going to use Allspace VR because they have great tools for that. If we just want to have fun, then we often use VR chat because you can do crazy stuff in there. But we'll usually prefer to create like a private room so that we don't have all the crazy kids that you were
Mm-hmm.
talking about. If we use if you want to do something that we want to make like more open and that people can join outside of the group, then maybe we're going to use Mozilla Hubs, and we'll post the
Right.
link in somewhere
Mm-hmm.
public so that people can join. So it really depends on the type of event, and it depends on the type of what. And no one's like saying we're only going to use this one, we're only going to use that one. And actually, we did put a lot of effort to make sure that people can join and stay in this coherent group regardless of what platform we choose. And we have put quite a lot of effort in helping people on board to the different platforms so that they can easily jump between
Mm-hmm.
them relatively easily. So I think I agree with you. That's definitely the way to go. You see that everywhere. um, People meet up and play. People in the group just play Beat Saber together
Yeah.
because they love Beat Saber. Who doesn't love Beat Saber, right? And you can play
Exactly.
multiplayer Beat Saber. So it's more about the community than it is about a specific tool or a specific
Game. Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's great. I think that's the best way to do it, and then you can enjoy the best of all worlds.
Which one?
So,
Which one you like the most? Like, which one is the most pleasant for you to use in VR?
um,
In VR, from the VR ones, like, is it Rec Room, Outspace, VR Chat,
I think
Facebook
I personally
Horizon?
like
Forbid
the
my sins.
I personally like VR chat. I think the most. I
Uh-huh.
think just the craziness of it appeals to me. I love there's so much unique content that people create. There's a ton of
Yeah,
content
sure,
people just create
sure.
and share. I think that's really awesome. That's just you just that's where you go to have a laugh, I guess, and I like that. You can really have just crazy laughs and fun, which is I think it's awesome.
Very valid, yeah.
But also as someone who organizes events like Old Spaces, in many ways it's great. It's paradise because you have tons of tools and they're relatively easy to use, and you can invite presenters that will have their own permissions and stuff. It's really well done in that way.
Yeah.
It's just not as appealing visually, and it's not as creative. And then again, also Mozilla Hubs is awesome because anyone can click a button and they're
Mm-hmm.
in. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's not as high fidelity. It doesn't scale as well. There's a ton of problems, but so it really depends on what you want to achieve. I think Somnium, there's a lot of things I love here. The thing where the persistent world where you can see as far as your eye can see, and I think that I guess people do like NFTs. I personally am not a fan, but I think people do like them. So
You guess is
so I
right.
think that yes. So I think it's a great platform for doing that. So it really depends on kind of the type of thing you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't have like my favorite child. I know that if I just want to have fun, like just then I'll probably gonna go to VR chat. But
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, sure. Of course. It's I actually agree with your description of all of them. And yeah, we are working in some of them. A shameless plug. We're working on a lot of tools. We have already a lot of tools implemented. So I'm doing all my Zoom calls from within VR already for a long time. We have
Oh, that's
browsers,
cool.
presentations. We even did. I don't know if it's like world's first, honestly, but we even did like a VR to VR call. So I was calling someone who was walking in the different part of Somnium, and we were talking in a video call with
Oh,
each other.
nice.
So that
That's
kind of
cool.
like, even for me, that was hard to process like what's happening here, because the guy was walking in his house and I was talking from this parcel while he was walking this house, and I was like, man, okay, you're here, you're on your okay, wait, I can see you from here. Oh, there you are in a distance. I can see what? And it was all in real time. That's crazy, that this kind of like this inception things where you already have calls from within VR to VR. So yeah, we are working on a lot of tools to make people's life, to make the utility out of the land parcel they purchase to maximize that. This is what we want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like people creating their own stages and singing live shows, no problem. Having disco nights, no problem. Art galleries, no problem. Things like this, tied to blockchain, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
because people can utilize and show things from Ethereum, and Ethereum is great in that respect, that we can, easily let people easily. I don't want to say easily, unfortunately, it's not that easy, but it's doable. It's work, but it's then
Yeah.
the satisfaction is great. Okay, last section, because great talk. We can go on and on, but I think people already. I see on the other side of the screen some people are fading out already there, so I don't want to be liable from people dying during the show. So
True.
we
True.
need to wrap up. Before we wrap up, one kind of like an interesting exercise. Let's call it an exercise. A very rapid one, a rapid exercise. So I say word, and you say one
Okay.
word reaction on that. All right.
Oh
And again,
wow. Okay.
I didn't script anything of that. I'll be taking the words out of my mind. So whether it's a person or a product, and you tell me one word reaction on that. Try to be as fast as possible, as genuine as possible. Obviously,
It's hard.
choose
It's very
choose.
hard.
I know, that's why you're here. So let's do it. Let's start with
Let's go.
Vitalik Buterin.
Scammer. No, no, I'm kidding. I knew you were going to say that, and
Woo!
I had that word ready. No, I'm kidding. Vitalik, leader.
Leader. Okay. Winklevoss twins.
Scammed.
Scammed. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting. We'll come
they
back
were
one day.
scammed with ED.
Okay. One day we'll
Yeah.
come back to that. Coinbase.
I don't know. Ease of use? I don't know, man. This is
Okay,
hard.
I know.
Okay.
I'm not here to make your life easy. Sorry.
Yeah.
So okay. Uh, Bitcoin.
Digital gold.
Tron.
Better than Ethereum.
Sorry, what? I'm sorry.
Better than Ethereum. That's
Better than Ethereum. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, I see some. The audience disagrees with you. Live. Um. All right. VR.
oh, very young. Very,
Let's
very
let's
young.
dive into the virtual worlds on blockchain. Crypto voxels.
Crazy. Crazy and insane. Yeah.
Decentraland.
Quiet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you made my day. Sorry. Okay. Somnium Space.
Big. Big, man. It's very big. It's. I think the first thing you think about is that it's just massive, just huge.
Yep. I'm running out of things. Donald Trump.
Oh no, I'm not going there, man. No, I'm not doing that.
All right. So cool. I mean, I think we've covered almost everything, and maybe for the very very last thing, is there anything you want to ask me? Because I've been like asking you questions. Like, if anything you want.
When are you migrating to Tron?
Never. Luckily, when you were asking this question, your microphone completely died. So
Really?
I think only like 20% of people will understand what the question was, and now they will be trying to decrypt why I was answering never. I never say never. By the way, the answer to this question is we as a platform, we are virtual reality platform. We will, and I said that publicly already, we will allow several different types of blockchains exist in the world. So we have no problem allowing people to show different types of items on the different blockchains inside the world and transact in the world with different currencies, because that's the basics. Yeah, we don't want to be exclusive Ethereum. We want to allow many people as possible to if they want to mint their avatar on different blockchain network, we'll try to allow that.
Tron, you can say it on Tron.
Can I say that? No, I didn't want to say that. Different blockchain networks. I say 3 words instead of 1. All right. But yeah, so it's whether it's Tron or Vax or whatever crazy stuff is out there, and if the audience is there, we should allow our creators to create for that audience. But the world should visualize that inside Somnium. You should be able to visualize stuff. It has to converge inside the world. So that's our belief, and we will proceed to create that belief into reality. So with that, I would like to thank you for that amazing.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing. Yeah, this was great.
I love this show because I get to talk to great, amazing people and to learn stuff and to discuss things, and that's just very cool.
And we both get to wear sunglasses the entire time.
And we both get to. I mean, mine are cooler. I hope everybody can admit.
Yeah.
But your are amazing. So as always, when I finish the show, of course, subscribe and we'll link all the social stuff about Reckless and your Twitter in the description of this video. Obviously, subscribe, hit this bell button, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. Actually, I don't care. Just I hope you enjoyed that this conversation. And as I always say, until the next time, see you on the other side of the monitor. Goodbye.
Bye.